The first time I knew something was off, it wasn't a text or a call. It was the smell. Not perfume. Not sweat. Something sharper, earthy, like cut grass and leather. The kind of scent you'd pick up in a garage, not a boardroom. It clung to her blouse the way smoke clings to a coat after a bonfire. Subtle, but wrong. She said she had lunch with a coworker. Said it fast. Like she had it prepped. I nodded. Her name is Rachel. My wife. 31. Blonde, athletic, the type who buys minimalist planners but never fills them. People like her. She knows how to lean in when she talks. She wears sincerity like a tailored jacket. It fits perfectly until you touch the seams. We met 6 years ago at a mutual friend's engagement party. She was standing barefoot on a deck holding a gin and tonic, talking to someone about jazz. I didn't even like jazz. Still don't. But I listened to her fake knowledge for 20 minutes before I introduced myself. That should have told me everything. Now she works in HR at a medium-sized firm in Stamford. I'm in commercial insurance, claims auditing, which means I stare at fraud all day. Patterns, lies, inconsistencies. I'm good at spotting them. I should have caught this earlier. She always used to say Michael was like a brother. That phrase. Word for word. Said it in front of her parents once, said it to my sister at Christmas. She repeated it so often that it got burned into my mental file. Michael. He works in her building. Different department, she said. But same floor. I met him twice. Tall, quiet, with that drawl some Ivy Leaguers keep after graduation, like they're bored with every conversation. Wore boots to a cocktail party. That kind of guy. The second time we met, he called me man. Not by name. Good to see you again, man. With a glance, not a handshake. Rachel never brought him up unless someone else did first. But once, after a party, I caught her watching a video on her phone in the kitchen. She clicked it off when I came in. Said it was a TikTok of a dog stuck in a swing. She didn't laugh. I didn't ask. That night, while she was in the shower, I checked the recently played section on her YouTube. She had cleared it. She never used to clear it. That was 2 months ago. Last Friday, she left her laptop open on the dining table. I walked past it 3 times before I sat down. I wasn't looking for anything. I swear I wasn't. It was a MacBook. She had a folder labeled Taxes_2023 on her desktop. Inside it? Nothing about taxes. Nothing legal at all. Just another folder. Name, private. Password protected. That's when I knew. Not when I opened it, not yet, but when I saw the way she hid it. The way she mislabeled it. That's not how you hide porn. That's how you hide someone. I didn't touch it. Not then. I needed time. I needed gloves. I needed to be sure. I took a screenshot of the desktop and a picture of the file structure with my phone. I put everything back the way I found it. When she came home that night, she kissed me on the cheek. Told me she was exhausted from back-to-back meetings. She smelled like cut grass again. 2 days later, I asked her casually, while she was chopping cilantro for tacos, "You still talk to Michael much?" She didn't look up. Just said, "Yeah, of course. I mean, we work on the same floor." Then she added, "You know he's like a brother to me." I watched her cut the cilantro too fast, like she needed the knife to move. She always said that. Like a brother. I'd heard it first during her company's holiday party last year. Michael had stood at the bar for an hour straight, sipping whiskey, watching Rachel across the room while pretending not to. When he finally walked over, she lit up, the kind of smile you reserve for surprise gifts or overseas friends. When he left, I said something about him being intense. She laughed and said, "Please. He's basically family." That night, they texted until 1:14 a.m. I know because I saw the blue glow of her phone lighting up the bedroom ceiling while she faced away from me. She said it was her boss. Deadlines. HR emergencies. She rolled over and slipped the phone under her pillow like it was part of her body. I didn't push. But I remembered. The night after I found the hidden folder, I bought a USB duplicator and cloned the drive when she was in the shower. Took less than 10 minutes. MacBooks are easy when you know how to set permissions. I didn't open anything yet. I just made the image. Made sure the timestamps stayed clean. That same week, I noticed she stopped connecting her phone to the living room speaker. Rachel always played music while she cooked. Lately? Silence. Or earbuds. She also started locking her phone. Same thumbprint. But now the screen went dark in under 10 seconds. She'd flip it face down even when we were just watching Netflix. You don't do that unless you're hiding something or someone. A week later, on a random Wednesday, I sent her a text while she was supposedly working late. Said, "Hey, car broke down. Can you pick me up at Pine and Grove?" She took 23 minutes to reply. Just saw this. Sorry, babe. Already home. Everything okay? She wasn't home. I was parked a block from her office, engine off, lights out. She came out at 7:43 p.m. Michael was with her. They weren't holding hands. But she did something worse. She reached up and fixed his collar. Like muscle memory. Like she'd done it before. They talked for a bit. He looked down at her feet. She looked up at his jaw. Then they walked off in opposite directions. I didn't follow either of them. I didn't need to. I drove home. She arrived 18 minutes later. Said traffic was brutal. She smelled like hand soap and someone else's car. Rachel has a silver bracelet she never used to wear. I noticed it one morning when she was getting dressed. Thin chain. Small plate. Not new, worn like it had history. I asked where she got it. She paused. A beat too long. Then, "It was in one of my old jewelry boxes. From college, I think. But Rachel doesn't wear jewelry from college. I bought her that gold locket 2 years ago for our anniversary, and she wore it once. Said it didn't fit her vibe anymore. That bracelet, though, she's worn it 3 days this week. Always on the left wrist. Always with a long sleeve half covering it." That same night, I finally opened the copied laptop folder. Password? Family 20. It unlocked in one try. Inside were 6 folders. Work stuff empty. Personal photos of us, old, untouched. Memories, password protected again. Audio notes. Books, PDFs of romance novels. Z. I clicked. Z. Inside were dozens of subfolders. Each named with a date. Spanning 2 years. I picked one. Random. August 14th. Inside 2 files. One was a video, black screen, audio only. Rachel's voice, laughing. Whispering. "You're such a jerk. Stop." Then Michael's voice. "Say it." Rachel. "Shut up." Michael. "Say it." A pause. Then, "Fine. I miss you." Click. The second file was a photo of a motel room bed. Messy. Someone's boot on the edge of the frame. Another date folder had a screenshot of a Spotify playlist titled Brother Trouble. The cover photo was a man in sunglasses with a smirk. It had 1 follower. Username Z3. I recognized the profile photo. It was Michael. A picture from the company retreat. Rachel had shown it to me once. "Look how ridiculous Michael looks in this one." She laughed when she said it. But now that I saw it again, I could tell. She'd liked that photo. That night, I watched her sleep. Her mouth slightly open, her left arm curled under her head, that bracelet catching a sliver of moonlight from the window. It wasn't the betrayal that got to me. It was the calculation. She hadn't been caught in a mistake. She'd built this. Planned it. Named folders. Saved moments. Protected them. Michael wasn't a fling. He was a second life. And she kept saying he was. Like a brother. Even after she gave him that bracelet. The next morning, Rachel asked if I could take her car in for an oil change. Said she had too many meetings, didn't trust Jiffy Lube. I said sure. Her keys were on the hallway table, the ones with the tiny red tag I gave her when we first moved in. She kissed me goodbye. Same cheek. Same breathy. Thanks, babe. As I walked toward the garage, I passed the kitchen and saw her laptop open again. Same desktop. But the taxes_2023 folder was gone. I didn't touch it. I took her car to the dealership. Mid-range SUV, less than 2 years old. Clean interior, always is. Rachel's obsessive about crumbs and spills. Wipes down the cup holders twice a week. But the glove compartment had one item I'd never seen. A plain, white envelope. No stamp. No name. Inside was a folded page, printed, not handwritten. It was a schedule. Michael's name wasn't on it. But his initials were M.A., paired with meeting rooms, times, and what looked like a list of check-ins. One line stood out. Thursday, 2 p.m., R&M, Conference B, follow-up, off-record. Conference B is the smallest room in her building. No windows. I've been there. They used it for mock interviews during an open house. I folded the page, slipped it into my coat pocket, and closed the compartment exactly as I found it. She called me around noon. Asked how the car was running. Smooth, I said. She didn't mention the envelope. That night, I left my phone charging in the kitchen and walked into the bedroom early. She was under the blanket, scrolling. She jumped when she saw me. Flipped the screen. I didn't say anything. She forced a laugh. Just doom scrolling. News is depressing. I nodded. She turned off the light. 5 minutes later, I heard the sound of her phone unlocking. I kept my eyes closed. Then I heard the soft clack of typing. Not swipes. Not scrolling. Typing. Someone doesn't type long messages to doom scroll. I checked our text history the next morning. There was no new message. She deleted it. That weekend, Rachel suggested we go out for brunch. Her idea. She picked a place we hadn't been to in over a year, The Turn, one of those Scandinavian minimalist spots with glass walls and overpriced coffee. She wore the bracelet again. And a pale blue dress I hadn't seen since last summer. The one she used to say was too clingy for daywear. She looked great. Too great for brunch. I didn't say anything. We sat across from each other at a table near the window. She ordered lavender pancakes. I got eggs and black coffee. Halfway through the meal, she reached across the table and took my hand. Hey, she said softly. You've been kind of distant lately. Everything okay? I looked at her. She blinked twice. Soft. Measured. I said, work's been heavy. She nodded like she accepted that. But I saw the flicker behind her eyes. She knew. Or suspected I knew. And this brunch, was her version of damage control. When we got home, she tossed her bag on the counter and went to the bedroom. Left her phone on the charger. Unlocked. I waited 5 minutes. Long enough to hear the shower turn on. Then I opened her messages. There weren't many. Mostly group chats. But one name stood out, M.A. It had no photo. No contact card. The conversation was short. The last message from her. Still on for Thursday? Same spot. Don't be late this time. His reply. Always. No emojis. No punctuation. That kind of familiarity that's already past the performative stage. I took a screenshot and texted it to myself, then deleted the sent file. I backed out of the messages and checked her notes app. One pin note. Titled, When Asked? It was a list. Bullet points. Meeting with HR. He was helping me with the printer. Had lunch with Jen, use photo. He's like a brother. Double underline. She had written scripts. Lies prepared in advance. Later that evening, we watched a documentary on mountaineering. Something about fatal summits. She leaned against my shoulder like we were 17. I asked. Didn't Michael climb somewhere crazy once? She froze for half a breath. Then smiled. Yeah. Kilimanjaro, I think. I said. You told my sister it was Denali. A pause. Right. Sorry. Denali. I always mix those up. She never mixes things up. Especially not facts about him. The bracelet was missing on Monday. Not on her wrist. Not on the nightstand. Not in the small ceramic dish she keeps for earrings and hair ties. At breakfast I asked, no bracelet today? She looked up from her yogurt. Didn't match the blouse. That was it. But the blouse was off-white. The bracelet would have matched fine. I knew because she'd worn that exact combination last month. She was rewriting her own history, and betting I wouldn't notice. She left for work at 8:12 a.m. I watched from the living room window as she backed out of the driveway. 10 minutes later, I was in our bedroom, sliding open the drawer under her side of the bed. Inside, next to an unopened bottle of lotion and a folded scarf, was the bracelet. Not tossed, hidden. I left it where it was. That night, she brought home takeout and 2 mini bottles of white wine. Said she was in the mood for something easy, something nostalgic. Nostalgic. That's a strange word for Thai noodles and corner store wine. We ate on the couch. She leaned her head against me again. 2 nights in a row. Like she was following a script. I asked, do you still talk to that friend from college? Carly? She shook her head. Not really. Drifted. You two used to be close, right? Rachel shrugged. She was like a sister. Like a sister. I let the phrase hang. I watched her blink, a pause too long. Then a smile too quick. I guess I outgrew all that drama. She added. But Rachel doesn't outgrow people. She clings until they wither. Then she rewrites the ending. After dinner, she asked if I wanted to go hiking that weekend. A trail we hadn't been to since the early days. I agreed. Said it sounded perfect. She kissed me hard. Longer than usual. Her hands lingered at my waist. Something had shifted. Not guilt. Fear. She sensed I was moving away. Not loud. But quiet. Cold. And that scared her more than any confrontation would have. Thursday came. The one from the message. She left early, said she had a training session. Packed her lunch, unusual, and double-checked her bag twice before leaving. I stood in the doorway watching her lace her boots. I asked, need anything before you go? She smiled too fast. Nope. I'm good. Then, should be home around 5. Don't wait for me just in case. I didn't answer. At 2:07 p.m., I sat parked in the lot across from her office building. A dull gray block with tinted windows and a revolving door that swallowed and spat out workers like a machine. I watched the entrance. At 2:13 p.m., Michael walked in. Alone. No briefcase. Just a phone in hand and that same half-bored expression. At 2:20 p.m., Rachel followed. Hair tied up. Different coat than she left in, darker, no belt. She was carrying a small folder and something that looked like a change of shoes in a plastic bag. She didn't see me. I didn't need to follow. I already knew where they were going, conference room B. I had seen the printout. Back home, I checked the clone of her laptop again. A new folder had appeared inside. Memories. This one was called PR. Inside, nothing but a single image. A photo of an empty room. Fluorescent light. Beige carpet. A copier in the corner. Printer room. There was a timestamp embedded, 1444. I opened the image properties. Taken 2 weeks ago. Same building. Same floor. She had saved it. On purpose. As if the place had meaning. Printer room. When she came home that night, she looked tired, but clean. Makeup refreshed. Hair redone. She said, today was chaos. No lunch break. Even had to help Michael fix the damn printer. I looked up from my laptop. The one in Conference B? A pause. Then a smile. Yeah. That one. But there's no printer in Conference B. There never was. Saturday morning? She was still asleep. I slipped out of bed at 6:12 a.m., went straight to her car in the garage. I checked the glove box again, empty now. But the center console? Under the receipts, half-used tissues, and a melted chapstick, was a torn plastic wrapper. Not a receipt. Not trash. Protection. Not ours. She'd insisted we stop using it 2 years ago. We were trying, she said then. I didn't press. Now it sat in her console like forgotten evidence. I took a photo. Gloved. Didn't take the item itself. She'd notice. On the way back in, I passed the kitchen. Her phone was on the charger. I checked the charging logs, synced to our Wi-Fi. She had left it idle from 2:13 to 3:28 p.m. Thursday. Exactly the window I saw her enter the building. Meaning she turned it off, or put it in airplane mode. She disconnected during the exact hour she claimed to be working. That night, I pretended to be in a nostalgic mood. I pulled out our old photo albums, ones we hadn't touched in over a year. Sat with them open at the dining table. She came in, towel on her head, wine in hand. You're digging into the archives, she said. Just remembering. She smiled. A little too carefully. I pointed at a picture from our Vermont trip. Us in flannel. Her holding hot cider. Remember this? Yeah, she said. That was after the trail hike. No, I replied. That was the morning before it. We hiked the next day. Her eyes narrowed. Oh, right. But the photo was time-stamped. I knew she was lying about something that didn't even matter. Because once a person starts lying, they can't stop. It becomes muscle memory. Later that night, while she slept, I printed everything I had. Photos. Screenshots. Phone logs. Printer schedules. I bought a locked folder, real paper, real tabs. Labeled each entry. Annotated by date, time, context. Not for a confrontation. Not yet. I was building something stronger than anger. I was building a case. Monday, 3:10 p.m. I took a detour on my lunch break and stopped by the cafe near Rachel's office, the one where she sometimes grabbed afternoon lattes with coworkers. I ordered an espresso and sat at a corner table. At 3:17 I saw her. She was walking past the window with another woman from her office, someone I'd only seen once at a company mixer. Her name was Ivy. Short, sharp, with tortoiseshell glasses and that constant look of calculation people in HR wear when no one's looking. Rachel didn't see me. But Ivy did. For half a second, her gaze locked onto mine. Then she looked away. Not surprised. Not confused. Wary. Rachel came home late that day. Said she'd had to clean up a situation with onboarding. I asked her about Ivy, casually, while helping her with the dishes. She's still in HR? Yeah, Rachel said without turning. Mostly training now. She seemed nice, I added. Rachel dropped a fork in the sink. Quick recovery. She is. A little intense. That word again. Intense. The one she used for Michael the first time I brought him up. The next morning, I messaged Ivy from a dummy LinkedIn profile. No name. Just an anonymous corporate recruiter. I asked for a quick consult on a potential internal conflict involving a member of her department. I didn't use Rachel's name, but I left the context close. Ivy replied 3 hours later. One sentence. Some things are better handled outside the office. That told me everything. Wednesday, I waited until Rachel was showering again and checked the trash folder on her laptop. She had deleted a folder called Z_March. I recovered it. Inside, 3 videos. Muted. No faces. Just body movements. Clothing. One clip was 17 seconds long and ended with a shot of Rachel's bracelet on the edge of a bed frame. I didn't need to see more. I transferred the folder to an encrypted flash drive. Stored it in my lockbox at the office under client tax files. Then I messaged Ivy again. This time, from my real account. One line. Thank you. I've confirmed what I needed. She didn't reply. But 2 hours later, Rachel came home early. Said she wasn't feeling well. Her eyes scanned my face too long. Like she was searching for a crack. I asked if she wanted soup. She said no. Then added, "You're being really sweet lately." I said, "You're worth it." And watched her expression break, just for a blink. Not in guilt. In recognition. She finally understood. I was no longer asleep. Friday night. Rachel was in the shower again. Same routine. Steam curled under the door. Her humming, too cheerful, too practiced, echoed off the tiles. I opened her laptop. This time, I went somewhere new, her synced calendar. She'd color-coded it. Work, personal, bills. One recurring entry stood out. Wellness/M. Thursdays 2 to 3 p.m. I hovered. Description field was empty. No attachments. No location. But the invite had been marked private. Not from her work address. From a Gmail alias I'd never seen before. r.myers.sked@gmail.com. I copied it. Searched it. Nothing came up publicly. But in the calendar's back-end settings under shared with, it was linked to m.atchison.dev@gmail.com. Michael. His real last name was Atchison. Developer. Internal systems consultant. Not officially HR, but close enough. I checked the earliest instance of the wellness/M event. It dated back 11 months. Always Thursdays. Always private. I exported the calendar to PDF and saved it to the encrypted drive. Next, I logged into our home printer's admin panel. She used it often. I checked the job history. Last printed document. Insurance policy, addendum. Printed 2 days ago. I searched the file on her laptop. Found it in a hidden cache folder. The name was a decoy. But the content? It was a fake medical letter. From a fake doctor. Confirming a series of stress-related treatments over the past 3 months. Meant for HR filing. There was a signature. But the font used was Calibri, default word template. Sloppy. She wasn't careful anymore. Because she didn't think she had to be. At 9:42 p.m., she came out of the bathroom wearing one of my old college t-shirts. Hair damp. Smiling. "You okay?" she asked. I looked up from my book. "Yeah," I said. "Just decompressing." She crawled into bed beside me, pulled the blanket over both of us, and whispered, "Thanks for being patient with me lately." I said nothing. Because I was done being patient. She fell asleep fast. And I stayed awake 3 hours, building the outline of what I'd do next. Sunday morning. Rachel left for yoga. She wore the new leggings she ordered online last week, the ones she claimed were on sale. Still had the tag tucked inside the waistband. I waited 15 minutes after she left, then pulled the flash drive from the back of my lockbox and dropped it into a clean manila envelope. No return address. Inside, I printed 2 pages of screenshots, the messages with Michael, the hidden folder directory, and the calendar record titled Wellness/M. On the back, I wrote 3 words in all caps. Ask your husband? Then I drove to a quiet cul-de-sac 10 minutes away. Michael's house. 2 stories, modest, clean lawn. His wife's car was parked in the driveway, white SUV with a school bumper sticker. I'd seen it before, months ago, during that Christmas party photo Rachel showed me. I slid the envelope into their mailbox and walked away. I didn't look back. By noon, Rachel came back from yoga. Sweaty, flushed, and unusually chatty. She made smoothies. Asked if I wanted to watch a movie. I said sure. Halfway through, her phone buzzed. She didn't check it. Then it buzzed again. And again. Rapid succession. She picked it up, froze for half a second, then turned it face down on the couch and said, "Probably group chat stuff." I nodded. By 3:45 p.m., she'd gone silent, tapping at her phone with the stiffness of someone trying to make something go away. I checked the laptop again at 4 o'clock. A new folder was there. To delete. Inside were video files. The ones I'd already copied. She was trying to clean the crime scene. But it was too late. At 7:12 p.m., her phone rang. She stepped into the bedroom. I didn't hear the whole call. Just her voice saying, "No. Calm down. I don't know how she found it. No, you listen to me, Michael. You promise." Silence. Then, "Do not show up here." She didn't eat dinner. Said she had a headache. I nodded. And that night, I updated the dossier. Final tab. Timeline for exposure. She thought I hadn't heard the call. She thought I hadn't noticed the panic. She was wrong. Tomorrow, I'd be calling her firm's compliance office. Not to accuse. To submit anonymized findings. I wasn't burning her. I was disinfecting the lie. Monday morning, 9:02 a.m. I called Rachel's firm from a blocked number and asked to be connected with internal compliance. Said I had a concern about dual relationship policy violations involving mid-level HR personnel and a cross-department consultant. They transferred me immediately. I spoke calmly. No names at first. Then Rachel Myers. Michael Atchison. I said the relationship had potentially influenced evaluations, created favoritism, and resulted in falsified documentation regarding time off and meetings logged under wellness sessions. I offered to submit documentation anonymously through legal counsel. The woman on the line didn't ask questions. Just gave me a submission link and a case number. By noon, I had uploaded 16 files. All time-stamped. Labeled. Recurring private calendar entries, non-sanctioned contact. Scripted response list, found in Notes app. Medical leave forgery, printer log included. Image metadata folder, hidden folder structure. I requested written confirmation of internal investigation launch. They promised a response within 48 hours. At 12:47 p.m., Rachel texted me. "Can we do something fun this weekend? Just us?" I replied. "Yeah. Let's plan something." By 2:30 p.m., she was home early. Again. Said the office was doing air duct maintenance. I nodded. At 4 p.m., she poured herself a glass of wine. Daylight still outside. Then she said something that confirmed it. "If someone ever accused me of something at work, would you believe them?" I looked at her and said, "Depends on the evidence." She laughed tight. Forced. Then, "I don't mean now. Just like hypothetically." I didn't answer. She didn't bring it up again. The next morning, I received an encrypted email from her company's legal office. They had opened a formal ethics review. The subject line was chilling in its precision. Subject: Code 4.6 violation, early phase confirmation. She was under investigation. And she didn't even know I had pulled the lever. Thursday morning. Rachel was already gone by the time I left. At 9:15 a.m., I received another encrypted message from her company's compliance division. They had placed her under administrative review. Michael had chosen to take personal leave. Translation: damage control. I didn't respond. That afternoon, I printed the full dossier I had built. Neatly bound plastic cover. Pages numbered. Color-coded tags. It looked like a pitch deck, which, in a way, it was. At 6:03 p.m., I placed it on the dining table. At 6:44 p.m., she walked in. I was standing in the kitchen, drinking water from a tall glass. She set her keys down. Paused. Saw the binder. Read the cover. 12-month audit, communications, behavior, timeline. She didn't move. "Is this about work?" she asked. "No," I said. "It's about you." She picked it up. flipped through the first 3 pages. Stopped at the folder map screenshot. Then the photos. Then the message with, "Still on for Thursday?" Her voice broke. "How long have you?" "Long enough." She sat down slowly, like gravity had changed. Her hands shook. Slightly. "You were tracking me?" "I was documenting." She didn't cry. "Not yet." Instead, she said, "Are you going to tell anyone?" "I already did." Silence. The kind of silence that bends the air. "I can explain," she started. I raised a hand. "You had 2 years. You chose structure. You saved moments. You named folders. You lied with templates. Then, you don't explain something you built on purpose." She stood. Tried to say something. But I had already turned away. Walked to the sink. Poured the rest of the water out. Rinsed the glass. "I'll be moving out Monday," I said. "You're what?" "Don't worry. The lease is staying in your name. So's the car. The accounts will be locked this weekend." She didn't ask how I did it. She didn't need to. I had planned every part of this. She walked into the bedroom and closed the door. And I stood there, watching the condensation drip slowly down the outside of the empty glass. Friday afternoon, 3 p.m. Rachel had a mandatory ethics meeting scheduled with her department head. She didn't know I knew. She also didn't know I had mailed a second packet, this time to Michael's wife, Olivia. Sent it Wednesday. Certified. No return label. Inside, the full report. Annotated. With a note. "You deserve truth. Ask him about Thursdays. D." At 3:26 p.m., while Rachel was still in her meeting, I received a call from an unknown number. Voicemail. I played it once. Then again. It was Olivia. Calm voice. Steady. "Thank you. I don't know who you are, but I believe you. I've seen enough. He's already gone. The kids are with me. If there's ever anything you need, reach out." I didn't save the voicemail. At 5:02 p.m., Rachel came home early. Again. This time, she didn't look tired. She looked stripped. No makeup. Eyes red. Wrists bare. The bracelet was gone. She walked in, didn't say anything. I was at the kitchen counter packing the last of my things. Files. Laptop. Lockbox. She stood in the doorway like someone waiting for a verdict that's already written. "I guess you got what you wanted," she finally said. "No," I replied. "You got what you built." She stepped forward. "Do you hate me?" I looked at her level. "I don't feel anything toward you anymore." "That's worse." She nodded once. Then, "What will you tell people?" I zipped the bag. "Nothing. You'll tell your version first anyway. You always do." I walked past her. Keys already in my pocket. Binder in hand. She didn't follow me. Didn't stop me. Just stood there, surrounded by the quiet she couldn't rewrite. At 6:13 p.m., I drove away from the apartment for the last time. By 7:40, my attorney had filed the preliminary divorce paperwork. Irreconcilable betrayal. No alimony. Assets split, with receipts. She'd lose the job by month's end. Michael was already gone. And me? I didn't burn anything. I documented it until it collapsed under its own design. 3 weeks later, the divorce papers were finalized. No court hearing. No negotiations. She signed without edits. I had already moved into a short-term rental downtown. Bare walls. 1 chair. Clean desk. It was enough. I changed my number. Locked my credit. Transferred everything tied to my name out of joint status, bank, insurance, titles. No drama. Just deletion. My parents asked once what happened. I said, "We had different definitions of loyalty." They didn't ask again. I never blocked her. Never replied either. She tried twice. First message. "I wish you'd let me explain." Second. "You were cold, but you were right." I didn't respond. Some betrayals don't require answers. They require exits. I heard through a mutual acquaintance that Michael had relocated. His wife took the kids and moved back to Boston. Olivia got the house. Rachel was let go. Quietly. Company policy violation. No severance. She posted vague inspirational quotes for a while. Then nothing. Sometimes silence is the loudest confession. A month after I left, I drove past our old building. Just once. I didn't stop. Didn't slow down. I just let the street roll under the tires like water. In the glove box of my car is the last thing I kept, not a photo, not a letter. It's the wrapper. Still sealed in a plastic evidence bag. Not because I need the reminder, but because sometimes proof is the only thing that doesn't lie.